Okay, that for me was the best episode of Danganronpa 3 we've had so far. And I mean either side. Oh man, it was just so good. It was so action-packed. It had so much interesting development as well. So I gotta get into this. First thing first. The fact that they actually went into this connection between Ryota and Junko, I really like that. I mean, I was talking to people before the stream started about what I thought would happen, and the idea of Ryota and Junko meeting up at the end of the last episode, I was like, yeah, they're just going to glance over that for sure. It will turn out to be a big twist later on, but they didn't. They went straight into it, and I goddamn well love it. It was so cool. It was a little bit meta. It was just perfect, man. And then we had the fact that Mikan and Junko are finally interacting. I mean, hell, Junko even groped her in this episode. I mean, give it a couple of days and that'll be what Mikan wants most in the world. Oh shit, that's fucked up. But true. And it was kind of sexy. I mean, I love that Mukuro, tied her up, or bondage style, before she brought her over with keyboard and the mouse. Oh, man. Oh, so sexy. Favourite girl. Can't wait to see her as a despair girl. Finally, that tragedy. Holy shit. They showed the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. It was absolutely insane. I mean, they had the music playing over it as well. That same folk song they've had for ages, using in different mediums. I mean, the most recent I can think of is when they used it in the Evangelion movie. That song, sung by Mukuro as everything was going down. All the Battle Royale references, all the other slasher horror references. I loved it. Oh, man. And of course, Nagito's ass, because goddamn, that ass. It's like, what is Nagito up to? He's been gone for a full year, Getting in plane crashes, finding oases. Nagito is just such a beast. I bet you any money he really is going to do something ridiculous, like accidentally swim up to the Future Foundation building. It would be like he's crash landed on this weird desert-y island kind of place. He'll swim in a random direction, get swept away by the waves, and get picked up on the Future Foundation island with goddamn Munakata. That would be absolutely brilliant, but nah, ridiculousness. Too ridiculous, even for his ultimate luck. More importantly, we'll move on to actually discussing things. So Ryota and his anime, which is amazing. It's exactly what I was hoping for last week. When I said that maybe he created the video that all the students end up watching and turns them into despair. And oh man, it's so perfect. It's really happening. I mean, goddamn, his anime was so powerful. It had Junko and Mukuro crying their eyes out, feeling actual emotion for real for once. That was insane. And I mean, it certainly didn't cure them of their despair, but it showed them just how powerful his anime is. When they asked about it, he had such cool ways of thinking about it. I mean, he's basically brainwashing people with it. But it was so meta the way he was talking about it. Talking about different sounds that you use to draw people's attention. Talking about the angles that you move at. And at the same time, it was showing the colours appearing on Junko's body. It was showing the angles moving around Junko's body. Showing how they do it even in the Danganronpa anime. And I mean, even throwing it back to the opening that keeps changing. They're talking about how you change the emotion by changing just even the colours. That's exactly what they've done in the opening. All they had to do was make everything a bit darker and give everyone red eyes, and suddenly the opening was creepy as fuck. So yeah, so damn meta. I mean, they even showed the revolver symbol going around, which Nagito's normally on top of in the opening. Man, I loved it. So perfect. And again, going back to other bits of the anime that have been influenced by that, we've got Mirai-Hen with the red blood, Zetsubou-Hen with the pink blood, the two different feelings. They're talking about animation techniques for real, but I love it. Oh, man. And yeah, I imagine that that's what Junko's going to do. She's either going to turn him full despair and get him working on the footage from the tragedy, making everybody go insane by watching the tragedy video. She's going to use his expertise in that, or she's just going to learn from him with her ultimate analyst talents and then create the footage herself, but with a super brainwashing despair effect, which would be sick. Either way, I'm just so glad they brought this in. They've confirmed this. I mean, that does explain why Ryota is so messed up in the head in the future. It's the idea that at this point, even though he didn't know it was going on, or possibly he will get fully corrupted and turned into a member of Ultimate Despair, Simple fact is, in the future, he knows he's done this, but he's definitely recovered from that, and he hates himself because he let it happen. He realizes what he's done to people, despite the fact that he wanted to create hope. He's ended up creating despair. So that's awesome. And you know, the fact that he's got goddamn Mikan with him is so good. I mean, the ultimate imposter's really looking for Mikan, really scared about what's going on. Because he sent her to look for Ryota. And she actually found him and it was just gone. That was just it. She left him that letter like, oh, I've got to stay with Ryota. So, oh man, that's so messed up. I imagine that this is how they're going to get the ultimate imposter, especially to turn into despair. Because they've now got the only two people that know his secret identity, the only two people that really know he exists at all. So they could use that against him so well, especially if we get sexy despair Mikan coming in a couple episodes and just like wrecking shit and making the ultimate imposter join ultimate despair. It's going to be so good. Oh man. So yeah, the biggest thing that happened in this episode, the absolute amazing scene, the tragedy. Oh, it was so good. It was so twisted. I mean, you think about everything that's gone on in Danganronpa, and yes, the executions and murders are sometimes quite messed up. But with this, I mean, it was like 4 to 5 minutes of just intense, everybody murdering each other, everybody going full despair action. And it wasn't even them murdering each other to survive. That's the thing. There wasn't even any case of them surviving. It was just literally, we want you all to kill each other. Just gave them out like the motivation, the reasons for them to go insane. And then bit by bit, they did. We had the first girl snap when she found out her mother definitely had been killed and possibly tortured. Killing the first kid, and then shit just went down. Everyone started killing each other. It was so perfect. Oh man, it was such a waste as well though. I mean, they designed some of these characters so damn well. The little girl in like the Pikachu hoodie outfit and the 2 different coloured eyes, the green and the blue, looked so cool. And one of the 2 lovers that tried to commit lover's suicide looked really cool again. She looked very princessy, and we'll never know what their ultimate talents were, which is a bit sad. But this whole scene was just incredible. We had Mukuro singing that song, just so gorgeous as it was going on, and it was so completely different from the scenes that were unfolding in front of us. I mean, everyone was murdering each other in the most horrible ways. Sometimes it was just gunshots, sometimes it was knife wounds. Oh man. Some of the most disturbing shit. People like literally jumping on each other and digging into each other's faces with knives and shit. Oh man. It was so damn intense. Oh, one thing that really got to me about this scene was that lover's suicide that failed. I mean, again, the Battle Royale references were strong in this one. In Battle Royale, we did have that couple that decided they didn't want to see everyone die. They didn't want to kill other people. So they decided to just kill themselves and go out on their own terms. And we had the couple in this one that were about to do that get completely interrupted, which was so fucked up. I mean, the guy that actually killed the couple, I completely understand his reasoning for it. Because, I mean, he just had to kill the girl that he loved. The girl that he loved was trying to kill him, and he survived that fight. And then he was just probably walking around in despair, sick of life, and heard this happy couple about to go out on their own terms. And he was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to take them out. So yeah, understandable, completely fucked up. But like, I like how they've shown why each person went insane and why they killed who they did. The way he did it was just so bad as well. I mean, he took out the one guy, and the guy fell on top of the girl, and then he just used the shovel to hammer the pole down through the girl as well. It was so fucked up. All of that pink blood spraying everywhere, man. So intense. And then you just had the creepy bitch who started off everything with her chainsaw. Oh, and that was another thing. The chainsaw said Freddy Jason on it. Must have been a reference to Freddy and Jason, the 2 different horror movies from Western Side. Oh, man. And you know, all the other weapons that they gave up were references to Battle Royale as well. I mean, we had the taser, the crossbow, the machine gun, but most importantly, the goddamn frying pan. I mean, I'm just sad they didn't have the pot lid in there as well, but I mean, they'd already, like, given enough references to Battle Royale. It was perfect. So good to see that in this anime, and yeah, that tragedy was just so bad. Especially when it came down to, like, the final guy who was left over, who had a gun and a chainsaw. was completely insane and was staring down Izuru. That was just such a damn good moment. I mean, we had him realize that he was going to get fucked up anyway, but because he was in full despair at that point, he charged straight onto Izuru. Izuru destroyed him, knocked him back, and then he fell onto his own chainsaw and cut his own head off. Oh my god. And then there was that fucked up bit which even Izuru didn't see coming. I mean, this is the point where his analytical ability wasn't working because there was too much despair, which I completely get him not like seeing coming, because the kid's head was already detached from his body, yet somehow his body aimed the gun and fired at Izuru. Oh man, that was just so gruesome, so fucked up, but so incredible. So yeah, I love that whole scene. Izuru got to see that yes, despair can again lead to differing things. He got to watch all of this go down. And Chiaki wasn't a part of this either, which I didn't expect. I mean, a lot of student councils are built up from the student representatives of each class, but I guess none at Hope's Peak, which is good because Chiaki is still alive, and that, God, that sets off so many theories in my head. Oh man. And then there's the other person who's alive, who we knew was alive from Danganronpa 0. I mean, you see everyone on the list black out, except for Soshin Murasame, the student council president who somehow survived with just a head injury, somehow got left behind. And man, I really wish they'd actually shown that. I mean, when I originally watched it, during my live reaction, I thought the kid with the chainsaw had fallen on it and just cut his head open, and that was Soshin. But then when I watched back and actually saw it, yeah, that definitely wasn't him. It was a different kid, and that kid's head came right the way off. Oh man, so that whole thing was so good. And then we had Junko starting off the tragedy, sending the email to the reserve corps students, getting them all pissed off at Hope's Peak, realizing what's gone on and happened, and you know, everything's set up for Danganronpa 0 and for the tragedy to take hold. And she even set it up like a closing statement from one of the Danganronpa games, man. It was so good, and she did it with her analytical insight. That's what I like. She like worked all of that out while she sent the email. She didn't have to like figure out what happened in the past. She was figuring out what was coming in the future. So damn good. And it sets us off so much for her to appear in the next episode as Ryoko Tanashi, and us to also get that little glimpse of Matsuda and see what happened during Danganronpa 0. And I've thought about how they might do this in the next episode, and I'm figuring maybe what they're going to do is switch to the 78th class for the next episode. Because at the end of this one, what we saw was a lot of Jin Kirigiri and Kizakura and all of that going on. So we're getting more and more hints about the future side, about Kizakura not necessarily being so shady anymore. I mean, we had Jin Kirigiri at the end of this episode say to Kizakura, if anything happens to me, look after my daughter. And I mean, that perfectly connects Kizakura then in the Future Foundation saying, oh, I guess I have to go find that girl. It was because he realized at that point it's time for him to fulfill his promise to his dead friend and go look after his daughter because shit was going down. So yeah, that is just so cool. And I mean, since Kizakura, based on the Monokuma Hunter theory, is destined to get stabbed by a Monokuma knife, chances are that's going to happen in the next episode. I mean, with everything going down with Ruruka, Izuyo's dead body, possibly Munakata being around, there's a lot of ways that Kyoko could need some defense, and now we know that Kizakura is there for that. He's there to protect Kyoko. So that could be his redeeming point of showing what kind of character he truly is, possibly taking a blade for her and saving her life. That would be sick. But that's not what I wanted to say. Yeah, what I think they'll focus on next episode is the 78th class and their perspective of the tragedy going down. Jin Kirigiri getting more worried, getting towards the point of actually locking his class away and hiding from the tragedy outside. And, you know, Kyoko Kirigiri actually going around and doing her investigation on the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy and Izuru Kamakura. So that's what I'm thinking. Rather than seeing the tragedy from the original novel's perspective of Ryota Otanashi, we'll probably get it from Kirigiri Kyoko, and that will tie into Future Side much better. So, you know, that's been incredible. The only other things that happen in this Juzo freaking out about the fact that he is just so damn useless. I mean, he's being overlooked by Chisa as he has been for his whole life. That moment was just ridiculous again. With her being like, oh, are you jealous? And him actually saying yes and her freaking out about it. Really makes me wonder. Like, I think Chisa probably does know where Sakakura's feelings actually lie. Which is actually kind of soul-crushing. Oh, man. Yeah, that's just ridiculously sad that she possibly knows he's into her and is just not acknowledging it so that it doesn't become an obstacle to their friendship. Oh, man. Makes me feel really bad for Sakakura. I mean, he's doing his best here to help Munakata, but he is so useless to everything that's going on because he's just not smart enough to keep up with it. There's all these crazy intelligent people going around solving all of these issues and causing all these issues, and he just can't deal with them at all. He likes to punch things. He likes to stop things he can see in front of him. He can't deal with things when they're coming at him from the shadows. Oh, man. And I also like how in this episode there were so many throwbacks to other part of the Danganronpa series. Like when we first saw the student council, they were lined up exactly like Danganronpa 2's 77th class at the beginning of the Danganronpa 2 game. We also had that moment when Izuru almost got shot by the final guy in the killing game. And it was the same kind of cut that Hajime got on his cheek when Monokuma was showing off his machine guns in Danganronpa 2. And then also, we had Junko first create her desperate, sad persona with the mushrooms growing out of her head in this episode. So goddamn sick. Next week is going to be amazing. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen in Future Side again. There's a lot of things going on that really need to come to the forefront. There's a thing with Ruruka, Mitarai, and Kyoko Kirigiri. I mean, there's so much around that that's so important. But then we've also got the Munakata and Juzo Sakakura fight that has to go down at some point. And it would make sense for that to go down in the next episode since Sakakura has just not been around much in the last few episodes of Future Side. And they may want to delay the Ruruka, Kyoko, Kizakura, like all of that thing for another episode. If they want Ryota Mitarai's hidden past of him possibly starting off the tragedy with his animation skills and teaching them to Junko, all leading to that despair. So, oh man, I love how they are connecting the two. It's such a great series. I love the way that they've done it. I love that we get 2 episodes a week and they're interconnected. It's so damn good. So yeah. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode in the comment section below, because for me, this was the best episode of this series so far, and it was already my anime of the season, so you know for me this was a perfect 10 out of 10. I loved every second. Even just the little silly comedy bits with Gundam, like, randomly having a bear, and the creepiness with Teru Teru and the donut, and man, that was all actually really funny. Even like Sonya's little moment of calling herself a demon, even though Kazuichi wants to call her an angel. Like, you get used to it, man. She's with Gundam. She's a demon. Seriously, all of this flew by. It felt like by the end of the episode, I'd still only watched 6 minutes. Because that tragedy just drew me in. Mikan just drew me in. Ryota talking about his animation was amazing. So yeah, everything just flew by. I was kind of sad to see it end, man. So hyped to see what comes next. So hyped to see if Nagito reappears in Future Side, because he's really not doing much in the past side. I mean, we got to see his butt in this episode. That was about it. And he survived another plane crash. I mean, I'm assuming that's not the same plane crash where he lost his parents, because I thought that happened when he was much younger as a kid, but who knows? No, in fact, yeah, it must have happened when he was younger, because he knew about it while he was on the island. So that's the second plane crash he survived. God damn it, Nagito. And yeah, hearing him sing the ending while he was naked bathing in the oasis. Number 1, sexy. Number 2, meta as fuck. Loved it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this review, wreck that like button like you mean it. Subscribe if you haven't already to see more. And I will see you guys next time.